Sometimes you have to go itty bitty to catch a bunch of bass. And that's what we're talking about today. Going itty bitty to put some big bass in the boat, specifically smallmouth on the Great Lakes. And this is a technique that I don't talk about very often. It's not something that I employ or use a ton, but there are certain times a year when this little bait gets absolutely chewed by giant smallmouth. I'm Andrew Full, and today we're talking about itty bitty baby tubes. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We're going to help you put a bunch of fish in the boat. We're also going to be putting fishing videos out, hopefully weekly, and tutorial videos and describing certain techniques that help you catch a bunch of bass. So let's get into it. Just because we're talking itty bitty tubes doesn't mean you need to go itty bitty with your rod combo. So let's talk about that first. The rod combo that I'm using for throwing these itty bitty tubes is my Alpha Angler wrench. Now you could use any 7 foot to 7'6" medium powered spinning rod with like a fast or extra fast tip. You can run straight fluorocarbon or braid to fluoro. I like braid to fluoro for everything. I think it increases your sensitivity. You just have to be cognizant of how you're working that tube as you're snapping it along the bottom. 5 to 10 pound braid or 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon is going to be your basic areas. If you have more rock, 10 pound. If you're fishing over sand or gravel, then you're going to want to go to that 8 pound test. It's going to help you get a lot of bites. The lighter your line technically gives your bait more action, but the tube, it's a bottom bait, so you don't really need to have a ton of action. You just want to be crawling it and shaking it and popping it in front of those fish to make them bite. But the reason why the month of September, even October, you want to go itty bitty on the tubes is because of the fact that our bait fish are the smallest they will be all year. In the bass, specifically the Great Lakes, this is the time they start feeding up to get fat for the winter, so they don't have to eat as much through the winter to keep up their body weight and give them the right amount of nutrients for them to develop their eggs, specifically the big females. So, but what bass doesn't like a goby or a tube, and this is the perfect size to imitate those bait fish right now. Some of the best tubes that I have found for throwing itty bitty tubes are basically this Howie's tackle, and I'm a very generic person when it comes to colors: green pumpkins or funky greens. So this is a Howie's tackle. It's like a 3-inch. This is green pumpkin, purple flake. Super salty, real dainty and small. I like this one a lot. I like salty tubes, ones that are tender and soft. The next one I'm going to use is the 2.5-inch Berkeley Maxent, and this one is in Bream Green. It is a hideous tube. And I really like this one when it's sunny and the water is super clear. And the last one is a netbait tube enhanced by Bait Fuel. This is brown pumpkin copper, so a little bit on the more brown side of the spectrum. This one I'll use if it's a little bit more cloudy or overcast, or if I notice the gobies they're spitting up are really dark in color. That's why I'm going to go to this. But there's a common denominator in all of these: purple or copper flake. I like tubes with flake as well. I try to stay away from your standard like green pumpkin, black flake. I love ones with fleck. I think in the sun it helps fish key in on them from longer distances to come over and get them. But the biggest thing you want to look at here when it comes to fishing these tubes is making sure you get the right jig heads with the right size hook. A lot of tube jig heads are going to be, with the hooks, are going to be way too big to fit in the tube, and you're going to have the tube on there and that hook way out past the body. That's no bueno. Now when it comes to choosing the jig heads, there's two that I specifically like. One is by Bite Me Tackle. This is the original in the package, just so you can see the package and what it looks like. But they make a junior size, so it's got a much smaller hook, 3/8 ounce, 1/2 ounce. If they're being funky, I might go heavier. If they want something falling really slow and spinning, that's when I'll go to the lighter weight. You can fish these tubes anywhere in 1 foot of water out to 40. So you gotta match up your size for where you're fishing and how the fish are reacting. The next tube jig that's really, really good is the Great Lakes Finesse tube jig head. It's got a really, really short, stout hook. It fits awesome in those little 2.5 tubes. So next time you're out on the water and you're struggling to get bit, pick up some of these micro tubes, specifically on the Great Lakes, and I'm sure you're gonna put some in the boat. So if you made it this far and you haven't done yet and you're new, hit that subscribe button and stay here, follow along for more fishing tips and content as we keep putting out our library here on a week-to-week basis, and we appreciate everyone. So see you in the next video.